Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Scott. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And I apologize for being sick. If you're wondering why I'm kind of sitting up here in this series of videos, is because it seems like if I sit up here, I'll cough less. So that way I'm not coughing every 5 seconds during the video and annoying people. So, bear with me. Get really close now. I won't scare you that much. But Scott wanted me to talk about G.I. Jane. And of course, that got a bit more of a notoriety because of the whole Jada Pinkett stuff. I'm sitting there going, if I was called G.I. Jane, I would not be offended. You could call me G.I. because I think this movie is good. It's underrated. I think it's one of Ridley Scott's more underrated films. It does have some flaws. The final act of the film, where this battle on the Libyan coast, very terrible seizure-like camera work that helps hurt the scene or sequences pretty badly. That's, I would say, the biggest flaw in the film. I don't mind the idea behind the finale, but the way it's shot, I have no idea why the hell Ridley Scott shot it that way. And Ridley Scott, I mean, I love Alien. That would be my favorite Ridley Scott film. I like Blade Runner. Really like Black Rain. Like G.I. Jane. Like The Martian. The Duelist, I remember not minding. Legend, it was there. Good visuals. I would say I was more of a fan of Tony Scott, his brother, when it comes to directing. Beverly Hills Cop 2, and Last Boy Scout, and even, Unstoppable, and True Romance, Days of Thunder, so forth. But this film got a bad reputation, and I don't think it really deserves it. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people make it out to be. Demi Moore, I think, is a great actress. If I did a top 10 or even top 5 favorite actresses, I think Demi Moore would be on the list. Always enjoyed her, whether it be in Ghost or this movie. Sadly, she has not done a whole lot. I think she was in Mr. Brooks, which I remember liking, with Kevin Costner. But she just hasn't done a whole lot. She had a brief Blink and You Miss It cameo in Unbelievable Weight of Massive Talent with Nicolas Cage. Striptease, I didn't mind. I thought it was much better than Showgirls. But it's kind of weird where this was during a time period where she had some successful movies. Ghost, Indecent Proposal. Disclosure is a pretty good one. And Disclosure is a film that's actually ripe for rediscovery in today's age. If you don't know what that is, it's a movie where Michael Douglas is sexually harassed by Demi Moore, who uses her "I'm a woman" appeal to go, you think they'll believe you that you got molested by a woman? Go ahead. And then she tries to ruin Michael Douglas' life and career. And Michael Douglas wanted nothing to do with her. Again, when you look at Disclosure, it's actually pretty appropriate in today's age. But I think that was a hit as well. And that's a film that would not be made today. The opposite would, but not that movie. I don't even know if that film has a Blu-ray. But this one, she got a decent paycheck. She was getting a decent paycheck, and people were getting mad at her. They were calling her like Demi Moore, and she was getting like, I don't know, 12 million. I'm sitting there going, well, all these other actors like Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone, they were getting 20 million. So, I mean, if their box office hits, why can't Demi Moore get more money? I don't understand that. Which is pretty funny because these are probably the same critics that nowadays are such feminists and everything's sexist, and that they're complaining about a lady making some money. Again, hypocritical as hell. I remember I had some guy, there's a film that came out this year called Interceptor, which I think was a piece of junk, starring Chris Hemsworth's wife. Chris Hemsworth's wife. Just garbage movie. And a guy literally told me, well, there's nothing different between this and G.I. Jane, so if you hate this movie, I guess you hate G.I. Jane. I'm sitting there going, are you kidding me? There's a world of difference between these two movies with the way they're filmed, the way they're directed, the way the acting is, the performances. I mean, that would be like comparing Under Siege to... That's like saying if Under Siege and The Abyss were the same, because they both at some point have a damn, like a submarine in it or something, or they're on the water. There you go. Under Siege and fucking The Abyss are the same movie because they're in the water. God damn. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Fast Times at Ridgemont High are the same movie because it deals with a school at some point. It's just... So Demi Moore is part of Naval Intel. Her kind of boyfriend, kind of not, is Jason Begay, who I remember was the lead in Monty Shines, the George Romero film. I forgot he was in this. So Anne Bancroft gets this deal going where they're going to try to have women into the military, in this case, Navy SEALs. Do they call it? I'm trying to remember. I thought there was a different name they called it. I can't remember. I know there's something called SERE, S-E-R-E training, SERE training. I always just think of just, Navy SEALs. Ooh, Navy SEALs. Not the one with Charlie Sheen. Anyway, this place that's very tough and apparently like 60% washout. Because, yeah, you have some guys that want her out of there, and yes, there are some dickheads who are guys. But the difference between that, a film like Interceptor, and this film, is that there's a good chunk of guys that are not that way. Even in the unit, there are people giving her shit, but to me, they don't go so overboard to remind you every 5 minutes. Yeah, this guy's a guy and he's a dick. And Viggo Mortensen, who's the Master Chief, treats everybody the same. He treats everybody the same. He treats Demi Moore the same as the other guys. There's a point where he's talking to Demi Moore. A guy laughs and he turns and fucking gets right in his face. And Viggo Mortensen has this, the snake eyes, just, not a guy you want to fuck with. Or like there's a time where they're doing training and Demi Moore helps people out, like, get on my back, and this one guy's a dick to her. And then Viggo Mortensen sees this, and later on, fucking tears him a new asshole verbally. Guess what? There's a word you don't know about teammate. Or there's a bit where they're in the water and they have to grab this thing, get pulled up, and she gets grabbed and isn't really helped much and pulled out. And then some guy remarks, "Oh, I'm glad we got some dead weight." And then Viggo Mortensen turns, just pushes the guy in the water. Okay, y'all go in the water. And you have some other people in the unit. You have Morris Chestnut. You got Jim Caviezel. And also, Anne Bancroft is one of the... She's a lady. She's a lady. She's the one who fucks over Demi Moore the most. So, the one who fucks over Demi Moore the most because she's like, I didn't think you'd get this far, and they made these trumped up charges that she's a lesbian, and that was Anne Bancroft doing. So if there's someone who's the biggest ass in the movie, it's another lady, Anne Bancroft. So if this is a feminist movie, I'm like, this is how you do it right. To me, this is how you do it the right way. And, there's a lot of good scenes where they're just, like, later on in training, where they're in the later parts and they're trapped in these cages, and Demi Moore's talking to this guy, and she's like, hey, if don't let them, how did she put it? Don't tell them anything because of me. It's like, okay. And, the guys are being decent. Like, when Viggo Mortensen in, he's treating her just like he would anybody, and he's, like, dunking her head in. And one of the guys like, you fucking tell him something or I will, O'Neill. Don't tell him shit. And Demi Moore's a fucking badass. That's another thing. Chris Hemsworth's wife could not wipe Demi Moore's ass. That's another fucking difference between this and Interceptor. First off, Interceptor's a shitty name. Yes, I know why it's called G.I. Jane, because G.I.'s not part of the... It's a fucking moniker that people in the newspaper made up. G.I. Jane has something to do with military. There are people like talking shit. This movie's so bad, it's called G.I. Jane, and G.I. wouldn't even fit, because that's more of Army, and this is blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, you didn't watch the fucking movie. You didn't watch the scene where the reporters made up the fucking G.I. Jane moniker. Fucking shit. Like, the complaints people had, if you complain about the finale, I could perfectly understand. The other stuff, I'm like, it's unrealistic. Well, fuck, if you talk to any goddamn military person, they probably say every fucking military movie is unrealistic. In fact, some people say The Stripes is the most realistic, for fuck's sake. You talk to some veterans, some will say Platoon is the real deal. Others will say Platoon is full of shit. People have different experiences, different points of view. But I think Demi Moore, I think her best performance, her best role. And the fact that she got nothing for this, she got a fucking Razzie for this. Razzie. Like, for worst performance of the year. I don't know if she won. She was at least nominated. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Well, the Razzies should be nominating a fuckload of people like Brie Larson and Captain Marvel and fucking Scarlett Johansson and fucking this lady and Interceptor. You don't fucking nominate, and either nominate or one or the other. Demi Moore for this? Give me a fucking break, man. And I thought the training scenes were intense. It could like the most intense fucking chow ever, where they have to rush, and grab all this food and eat as quick as they can, and then later on, you want more food, you gotta dig in the garbage, and you gotta hold this stuff in the water, you gotta hold this thing above your head, and if you want to quit, ring that bell 3 times. Holding up rafts and stuff. And yeah, Demi Moore rocked it. And she got in fucking shape. That's another thing about all these other ladies that want to be tough. Didn't fucking Demi Moore shape. Then, the fucking lady in Prey. Demi Moore would break her like a twig. Like a pencil. Like, you look at Demi Moore and, like, there's a bit of training where the song, Mama told me not to come. And she's doing like these push-ups. I'm like, she's bald and she's got muscles, but Demi Moore's still hot. Just don't knock me out, Demi. But yeah, maybe because I like the actress, maybe because she got shit she did not deserve. And people they reviewed more her paycheck than the fucking movie and her performance. Again, people saying this is a bad performance and she did a bad job and is one of the worst performances of the year. Get your head out of your fucking ass. And then people say, you should listen to critics. They gave Prey a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. ask me if I give a fuck. Nope. I don't give a fuck. So Demi Moore rocked the performance. Viggo Mortensen, I think, did a great job as the Master Chief. We don't leave our people behind. I love the score by Trevor Jones. Trevor Jones, same guy who did Cliffhanger, which is, to me, one of the most underrated scores in an action film. Cliffhanger soundtrack. Love the score in that. He did a great job in this as well. I thought that the score really fit the film well. And again, I think the training scenes were, I would say, the best parts of the film. And good chunk of the film is that. And of course you have the great moment where she sold this line because of, Viggo Mortensen dunking her head in and kicking her. Seek life elsewhere. She's like, suck my dick. And the way the other man's like, yeah, it's, whoa, yeah. I bought her saying that. I thought, I bought her saying it. I thought, people forget some of the other pieces of dialogue, like when she's confronting Anne Bancroft. It's like, why did you do this? Why did you lie about me? And Anne Bancroft's like, well, I didn't think you'd get this far, and come on, a lot of people, a lot of women, they don't want to see women go home in body bags, they don't want to see women do this. And I love Demi Moore's point. This is a great point, and this is why when people say this is the same as the movies of today, I'm like, listen closely. Would a movie today have a line like, what are you saying? This is what Demi Moore, she says. What are you saying? That a woman's life is more valuable than a man's? That a woman's death is more hurtful than a man's? And she's saying that in disbelief. Like, you think it's okay if a guy dies, but if a woman dies, that's so much more awful? Her point is, no, it's awful on both sides. It's awful if a man dies, that's just as awful. And their life is just as valuable. Do people just forget that? And then the most intense scene, well, I guess other than the suck my dick. But hell, by the end, she likes Viggo Mortensen a lot more than Anne Bancroft. Because Anne Bancroft really is the villain. And, as Demi Moore tells her, you like pissed off, watch this. I'm like, that was badass. And pretty much steers her into changing her mind. So she finishes her training. Truly, in retrospect, maybe you didn't need the action scene at the end. You could have just had her finish her training, and that's it. I guess they felt they needed an action sequence. And I like action. I love action. I used to think horror is my favorite genre, but really it's action. Action is my #1 favorite genre. I'm a sucker for action. There's a lot of movies I would give a lot of pass to if it has a lot of kick-ass action. The acting might not be the best, and the plot may be generic, but if it's wall-to-wall kick-ass action, I would give a lot of leeway, because I'm such a fan. Just like, if people, I like slasher films, but if you're like a diehard slasher fan, you'll give a lot of leeway if it has a lot of, blood, gore, and creative kills. I guess that same way with me in action. But it depends. There's some that even I'm like, that's still not enough. This film sucks. But just the in and out schizophrenic seizure camera work, the camera be like, do 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 do. I'm like, is the camera operator getting humped from behind as he's holding it? It feels like each action scene, each time someone fires a gun, like he's getting humped in the ass. Something's humping him from behind while he's holding the camera. And it's going back and forth in this rocking motion. I mean, you could get seasickness from this. I mean, again, why Ridley Scott did that, I have no clue. No clue. But that's really my only detriment to the film. Other than that, I think Demi Moore is a badass. I think she pulled off her role very well. I think the training scenes are intense, well filmed. It was cool to see people like Jason Bidet and Viggo Mortensen and Morris Chestnut and others. A lot of good scenes. I love the fight and the suck my dick moment. I love a lot of the training scenes. Like I said, if you just had the finale filmed like a typical scene, would have been. I really would have no issues with it. But if you can overcome the badly filmed finale, it's worth a look. It's worth a watch. And I think, again, if you want to do this whole thing they want to do today, feminism, I'm like, you know what, this is the way to do it right. And, you know, this is actually a pretty good film, unlike a lot of these other fucking films of today. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.